Hello everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now let's get into today's story. Drunk CEO tried to kiss her employee. He whispered, "Ask me again when you're sober." The annual holiday party at Sterling Innovations was in full swing, but Declan Foster stood near the edge of the rooftop venue, nursing a glass of sparkling water and watching the city lights twinkle below. At 31, he'd learned that mixing alcohol with professional events was a disaster waiting to happen, especially when you were a single father with a 6-year-old daughter depending on you. Not drinking, Foster. His boss, Adrienne Moreau, appeared beside him, her champagne glass nearly empty. She swayed slightly, catching herself on the railing with a laugh that was a little too loud, a little too unguarded. "Designated Dad," Declan replied with a smile, gesturing to his water. "Maya's with my sister tonight, but I promised I'd pick her up by midnight. Cinderella rules." Adrienne laughed again, her usual crisp professionalism softened by alcohol. At 37, she was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country, brilliant, demanding, and completely untouchable. Except right now, with her dark hair escaping its usual severe bun and her cheeks flushed from champagne, she looked almost human. "You're a good father," she said, her words slightly slurred. "Maya's lucky. I'm the lucky one," Declan replied, uncomfortable with the intensity of her gaze. In the 8 months he'd worked as her senior project manager, he'd never seen Adrienne like this, vulnerable, unguarded, dangerously close. "Declan," she said, setting her glass down on the railing and turning to face him fully. "Can I tell you something? Maybe you should have some water first," he suggested gently, already sensing where this was heading. "No, I need to say this before I lose my nerve." She stepped closer, close enough that he could smell her perfume mixed with champagne. "You're not like the others. You don't kiss up to me or fear me or treat me like some untouchable ice queen. You see me." "Adrienne, I think about you," she continued, her hand landing on his chest. "More than I should, more than is professional." Declan's heart hammered against his ribs. He'd be lying if he said he hadn't noticed how brilliant she was, how her rare smiles lit up her whole face, how his daughter always asked about Miss Adrienne after the company family day. But this was wrong. "You're drunk," he said gently, carefully removing her hand from his chest. "And I'm your employee." "I know what I am," Adrienne said, her eyes locked on his lips. "And I know what I want." She leaned forward, and for a split second, Declan froze. Then he turned his head so her lips brushed his cheek instead of his mouth. "Ask me again when you're sober," he whispered. "If you still want to, if you remember any of this, ask me when you mean it. Not like this." Adrienne pulled back, confusion and hurt flickering across her face. "You don't want—" "I didn't say that." Declan's voice was rough. "But you deserve better than a decision made at the bottom of a champagne bottle. We both do." He flagged down her assistant, made sure Adrienne got safely into a car, and left the party with his heart pounding and his mind racing. Because the truth he couldn't say out loud was that if Adrienne Moreau asked him sober, he didn't know if he'd have the strength to say no. The next morning, Declan arrived at the office with knots in his stomach. Would Adrienne remember? Would she pretend nothing happened? Would she fire him to avoid the awkwardness? He got his answer when he found a message from her assistant. "Ms. Moreau needs to see you. 9 a.m., her office." Declan knocked at exactly 9 hours, and Adrienne's crisp "come in" gave nothing away. She sat behind her massive desk in a charcoal suit, hair back in its usual severe bun, every inch the formidable CEO. But Declan could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she couldn't quite meet his eyes. "Sit down, Declan," she said, her voice professional but quiet. He sat, waiting. "I owe you an apology," Adrienne began, finally looking at him. "Last night was completely inappropriate. I put you in an impossible position, and I'm deeply sorry." "Adrienne, please let me finish." She took a breath. "I've already spoken with HR. You have the option to transfer to a different department with the same salary and title, reporting to someone else. Or if you prefer, I can arrange a generous severance and excellent recommendations for your next position. Whatever makes you most comfortable." Declan stared at her, processing. "You're giving me the choice to leave. I'm giving you the choice to stay on your terms," she corrected. "What happened was my fault, not yours. You shouldn't have to lose anything because I couldn't control myself." The vulnerability in her voice caught him off guard. This wasn't just corporate damage control. This was genuine regret. "What if I don't want either of those options?" Declan said quietly. Adrienne blinked. "I don't understand." "What if I want to stay in my current position working with you?" He leaned forward. "Adrienne, you made a mistake, a drunken mistake, but you apologized. You're handling it professionally and honestly. I've made worse decisions stone sober. But the power dynamic is something we both need to be aware of and respectful of," Declan finished. "But I'm not so fragile that one awkward moment makes me want to run away. Unless you need me to transfer for your own peace of mind?" Something softened in Adrienne's expression. "You're a better person than I deserve, Declan Foster." "I'm just someone who believes in second chances," he replied. "Besides, Maya would be devastated if I had to stop bringing her to the office sometimes. She thinks you're the coolest person in the world." Adrienne's smile was small, but genuine. "The feeling is mutual. Your daughter is extraordinary." They established new boundaries after that. Professional distance in meetings, no more late nights alone in the office, careful propriety. But despite their best efforts, something had shifted. Now, Declan noticed how Adrienne's eyes would linger on him for just a moment too long, how her rare smiles seemed reserved specifically for him, how she'd remember small details about Maya's life and ask about them. And Adrienne noticed how Declan would bring her coffee exactly how she liked it during stressful weeks, how he'd defend her decisions in meetings when other executives questioned them, how his presence made the constant pressure of her position feel slightly more bearable. 3 weeks after the party, Declan worked late finishing a crucial presentation. He didn't hear Adrienne enter his office until she spoke. "You're still here." He looked up to find her in the doorway, jacket off and hair down, the version of her that the office never saw. "Maya's at a sleepover," Declan explained. "Figured I'd use the quiet time productively." Adrienne hesitated, then, "Have you eaten?" That's how they ended up in the empty break room at 9 p.m., sharing takeout from the Thai place down the street. Without the alcohol or the tension from the party, conversation flowed easily. Adrienne told him about growing up poor, working 3 jobs to put herself through college, building her company from nothing. Declan shared stories about his late wife, about the car accident that had taken her when Maya was barely 3, about learning to be both parents to a grieving child. "You must have been terrified," Adrienne said softly. "I still am most days," Declan admitted. "I constantly worry I'm screwing her up, that I'm not enough, that she'll resent me later for all the things I can't give her." "She won't," Adrienne said with certainty. "I can see how much she loves you. That little girl knows she's cherished." "How do you know?" Declan asked, genuinely curious. "Because I grew up without that," Adrienne said quietly. "Foster care from age 8. I know what it looks like when a child isn't sure if they're loved. Maya has no doubts." The raw honesty in her voice made Declan's chest ache. "I'm sorry you went through that." "It made me who I am," she replied, "driven, successful, and completely incapable of maintaining personal relationships." She laughed bitterly. "The tabloids call me the Ice Queen. Sometimes I think they're right." They're not, Declan said firmly. You're guarded, sure, but that's not the same as cold. I've seen you with my daughter. I've seen you mentor junior employees. You care deeply. You just don't show it often. Adrian's eyes met his, and something electric passed between them. Declan! His phone rang, breaking the moment. His sister, calling about Maya's pickup time tomorrow. By the time he hung up, Adrian had cleared their food containers and was putting on her jacket. I should go, she said, not quite meeting his eyes. It's late. Adrian, wait. Declan stood, crossing to her. That night at the party, you asked me something. She froze. Declan, please, can we just forget? You asked me sober now, he interrupted gently, and I'm sober too, so I'm going to be honest with you. I think about you constantly. I look forward to Monday mornings because it means seeing you. Maya talks about you like you're a superhero, and that terrifies me because I have a daughter to protect, and office relationships are complicated, and the power dynamic is real. Then why are you telling me this? Adrian whispered, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Because you deserve to know that when you tried to kiss me, the only reason I said no was the champagne, not because I don't feel something, but because when it happens, if it happens, I want us both to choose it clearly. Adrian closed the distance between them, stopping just inches away. I'm choosing clearly now. Are you? God, yes, Declan breathed and kissed her. It was everything the drunken almost kiss wasn't. Deliberate, mutual, earth-shattering. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. This is insane, Adrian said, resting her forehead against his. I'm your boss. This could destroy both our careers. I know, Declan replied, but I'm tired of being careful, tired of pretending I don't feel this. What about Maya? What if this doesn't work out? Then we'll handle it like adults, Declan said. But Maya already loves you, Adrian. She asked me last week if you were my girlfriend. What did you tell her? Adrian asked, pulling back to look at him. That we were friends, but she said, Daddy, you look at her like you looked at Mama in the pictures. Kids see what adults try to hide. Tears spilled down Adrian's cheeks. I never thought I'd have this. A family, someone who sees past the CEO to just me. Well, you do now, Declan said, wiping her tears with his thumbs. If you want it. I want it, she whispered. God help me, I want it so much. They took it slowly after that. Adrian officially transferred Declan's direct supervision to another executive to eliminate conflict of interest concerns. They were discreet at first, but eventually word got out, not through scandal, but through simple observation of two people clearly in love. Not everyone was happy about it. Some colleagues whispered about favoritism. A few board members questioned Adrian's judgment. But Adrian had spent years building her reputation on results, not politics. And Declan had earned his position through talent, not connections. The real test came 6 months in, when Maya asked Adrian a question over breakfast at Declan's apartment. Are you going to be my new mommy? Adrian froze, pancake halfway to her mouth, her eyes finding Declan's across the table. That's a big question, sweetheart, Declan said carefully. What makes you ask? Because you love each other, Maya said simply. I can tell, and you're here all the time now, and you know how I like my sandwiches cut, and you help with my homework. That's what mommies do. Adrian set down her fork, kneeling beside Maya's chair. Maya, I love your daddy very much, and I love you too. But being a mummy is a big responsibility, and I want to make sure I do it right. Is that okay if we take our time figuring it out together? Maya considered this seriously, then nodded. Okay, but can you still help with my homework? You're really good at math. Absolutely, Adrian said, relief evident in her voice. Later, after Maya went to play, Declan pulled Adrian into his arms. You handled that perfectly. I was terrified, she admitted. What if I mess this up? I didn't have a mother. I don't know how to be one. Neither did I know how to be a father, Declan said. But I learned. We'll figure it out together. A year later, Declan opened his front door to find Adrienne standing there in jeans and a sweater, a far cry from her usual power suits, holding a small velvet box. "I know traditionally the man proposes," she said, her confidence not quite hiding her nervousness. "But I've never been traditional, and I've wasted enough of my life being careful and guarded and afraid." She opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. "Declan Foster, you and Maya have given me something I never thought I'd have. A family, a home, a reason to leave the office at reasonable hours." She smiled through tears. "Will you marry me?" Declan pulled her inside, kissing her soundly before pulling back to grin. "On one condition." "What's that?" "We tell Maya together. She'll want to help plan the wedding." "Deal," Adrienne laughed. When they told Maya that evening, her squeal of delight could probably be heard 3 blocks away. "Does this mean I can call you Mom?" Adrienne's eyes filled with tears as she knelt in front of the little girl who'd stolen her heart. "I would be honored." At their small, intimate wedding 6 months later, Maya served as both flower girl and ring bearer, taking her duties very seriously. When the officiant pronounced them married, Maya cheered louder than anyone. During their first dance, Declan whispered to his new wife, "Remember that night at the holiday party?" "How could I forget?" Adrienne replied. "I made a complete fool of myself." "You showed me who you really were underneath the CEO armor," Declan corrected. "You were brave enough to be vulnerable, even if it took champagne to get there. And I was just sober enough to know we needed to do this right." "Ask me again when you're sober," Adrienne quoted, smiling at the memory. "Best rejection I ever received." "Not a rejection," Declan said, pulling her closer. "A rain check, one that I'm very glad you cashed in." As they danced, watched by Maya and their small gathering of friends and family, Adrienne reflected on how far she'd come from the lonely CEO in the penthouse. She'd built an empire, yes, but it turned out the real success wasn't the company or the money or the accolades. It was this, swaying in the arms of a man who saw through her armor to the woman beneath, raising a daughter who called her Mom, building a life that was messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. Because sometimes the best love stories start with a drunken mistake and a gentle rejection. Sometimes they begin with someone brave enough to want you and wise enough to wait until you could choose them clearly. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, asking someone again when you're sober leads to forever. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Adrienne and Declan's journey from awkward party moment to forever touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.